to me, my Aussieverse family. Thank you for joining us here today on what is going to be an auspicious, fantastic show all about X-Men, movies, animation, comics, crossovers, you name it, we're going to talk about it. I was meant to take that off. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Aussieverse. Thank you very much for joining us with your hard-earned time. I am OmniBeau, joined by Wolf Sharif, Spedsy Lisle, and Morio, Mr. Ryan Moore.
What's up, dog?
What's up?
Yeah, now I was alerted about the mask situation about 3 seconds before we went live. I did a mad dash. I literally went into a room that I was painting yesterday, ripped open a drop sheet because I knew it was in there somewhere, and I couldn't find it. So I am maskless, or am I wearing the mask of a confident man who can talk on video?
If there are people watching out there, where I know there's a few, is there a certain topic you want us to go to first? The comics, the movies, the animation, the Marvel Studios, and then bringing them in? We'll give you a minute for you to decide. If you're the only one commenting, then you're the one that's going to pick. In the meantime, what's been going on lately, guys, in your X-Men world? I don't know what that means.
Was the X-Men 97 trailer just dropped for the new series?
Boom. Yes, it did, man. What did you think? I guess that's the first topic.
All I got to say is in your face to all those doink bags who, when did the X-Men get woke? This is... Bitch, the X-Men have been woke since the X-Men been X-Men. Read a comic book, watch a TV show, watch a movie. Just because you grew up and you now finally understand what things are and whatnot. Good golly.
I saw a really good Twitter thread about this where a guy was saying, the X-Men don't fight bigotry, they fight robots. And then one of the comments was, who sends the robots, dickhead?
My one is the one that I heard was I'm not watching it because morph is now binary and that's not the way it was. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, if you could change into a dude or change into a woman, then doesn't common sense kind of apply that maybe you could go either way? I mean, I'm not saying that any other morphing people out there have to be binary or bisexual, but I'm just saying if you can morph and you know, you're probably gonna be. Maybe now I feel like there's going to be an argument about me putting morphing people into a corner.
It's just like we've got a word for it now. So we didn't have a word for it in the 90s. We were all idiots. We were asleep, and then we woke up. God damn it! It's like, so he's morph. He can morph into anything he wants. They can morph into anything they want. So of course he. Who else is going to have a identity crisis more so than someone who can be anything at any drop of a hat or drop of a beret or drop of a beanie? It can be any type of headwear.
Someone I spoke to said, oh, yeah? Well, if that's your logic, what about Mystique? And I went, she goes both ways, man. I've seen that too. Todd has a great point, though. Out of all of the arguments that I have seen against this animated new show coming out, I'm sure you guys are aware of this complaint, and it is a very valid point. So, Todd, thank you for bringing that up.
To be fair, it's just that one scene in the original series that it's all caked up. Outside of that,
Facebook user,
it's not.
Yeah, and look, it's a very simple thing that this stuff when we were kids was marketed towards dudes. That's what dudes wanted, and then someone went, wait a sec, everybody can like this stuff, so how about we make it more accommodating to everybody? It's really that simple, especially in the day and age of Pornhub, Spank Bang, X videos. You don't need Rogue to have a monstrous badonkadonk. You can find the badonks elsewhere. X-Men can just be, Morph could have a badonkadonk next week because they can be whatever they want. Yeah, get out of it. Get your face around it.
So we discovered on the last video that we did that there's a new Apple feature on because I'm using a Mac where if you use certain hand gestures, a little bubble appears. Someone may have seen a bubble pop out of Mario's mouth the other day and go, "What's going on? Are they telling us to like his mouth?" So I don't know. So I'm trying to work out what is this. Hang on. So maybe if we put it like this.
Just to be clear, Ryan,
I don't know how I did it.
Have no feelings about your mouth either way.
No,
Now, I believe it was Ryan that was big on the screen. It was maybe Ryan's hand gestures that did it.
True, Ryan. What are you using?
I'm on an iPad, so I don't know what I did, but it did something.
Let's test this theory out. Is Ryan a
rather
mutant?
not?
All right. Back to the discussion at hand. Facebook user, I'm so sorry. I don't know who you are, but yes, that is an absolute classic cover, man. I think most of us like that. We know Killaroo has done a homage to that cover. Darren Zen Close, who was on the show just the other day. Go check that out if you like your homages. And speaking of where you can check other things out, if you go to Instagram, you can check us out right at that handle. You can also go to Facebook at Aussieverse for life. And you can also check out our TikTok videos right there too. We are proudly sponsored by Comex as always. And not last, but definitely not least, you can check out our graphic designer, A51_designs. So is there any more that you want to talk about with this X-Men 97 cartoon? Rob?
Yes. Now, I want to go around the room and talk about favorite characters. And I will start, but tying it into X-Men 97 is my favorite character is Cyclops. Now, I hope Cyclops isn't a monstrous wussbag like he was in the X-Men cartoon. He wasn't the worst, but he was very like the sitcom wife of the 80s, the very sexist sitcom wife where it was always, "How dare you have fun," to the husband main character guy. And so he was always like Gambit, Rogue, Wolverine having the times of his life, and Wolverine, you shouldn't. Whereas Wolverine and Cyclops not getting along, that is my X-Men, but not in Cyclops is just a stick in the mud type deal. Also, one last thing from me on this is Jean Grey and Storm, two of the most powerful heroes in the X-Men universe. In the cartoon, a little bit of like a Jean does something and she's like, "Oh, Scott, I've got a headache now from doing one little thing." And poor Storm, as powerful as Thor, essentially, but then she's just like, "Oh, I'm so weak after doing something." So little bit less, because you don't see Wolverine doing that. So, if we're talking sexist, wokeness, whatever, let's have Jean be as powerful as she can be, and Storm as powerful as she can be. And over to you in the studio.
Nick has said that Mark Brooks posted a drawing of Rogue's badonk, and the next day was like, "I got a lot of criticism and feedback about yesterday's image for not including Apocalypse." So here it is too. If you're not sure what Nick's on about, go Google that, because you want to see Apocalypse's badonk, it's there.
Ryan, what's your favorite X-Men character?
Honestly, this is a really tough question, but I think it's Rogue. In all honesty, like in terms of animated series episodes, she got one of the best ones with A Rogue's Tale.
Yeah,
where you find out about her backstory with Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't for the longest time know that she got all her powers from Captain Marvel. I just was like, Rogue kicks ass.
Not all of them.
No, well, I guess not the absorbing
big ones.
But yeah.
So
I saw it in the movies, and I was like, "What's going on?
Yeah.
Why is she just walking around? Oh, I can't touch things." It's like, let's fly. Let's beat people up.
See, in saying that, for the movies now, you've got X-Men and X-Men. What's my point? Captain Marvel and Rogue in the same universe now.
Yeah.
Will they meet? Will Rogue, Captain Marvel, and just go?
I guarantee you, if Rogue appears in the X-Men movie that's going to come eventually, and she can't fly, then yeah, I reckon she'll meet Miss Marvel. Because otherwise, if she flies straight away, then there you go. Ryan, did you say that Rogue is your favourite X-Men or just in the cartoon?
In the cartoon.
No. Who's your favourite X-Men?
Oh, in general,
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Nightcrawler.
Ooh, wunderbar.
Like,
Nice.
I really like Nightcrawler's aesthetic. It's got a very interesting story attached to it as well, being that he's viewed as a monster by everyone, and he's essentially a demon who worships the Catholic faith, and how all that plays into itself, it's really interesting.
Has there been a Nightcrawler Daredevil story?
I don't think there
I don't know
has.
of one.
I literally heard crickets then. I heard because I reckon that would be a good team up because of their faith. Sharif, your favourite
Jesus
X-Men?
powers unite.
From the animated series Magneto. Well, I guess from the movies as well. It's the strength of his conviction, how he believes that he's in the right, and be damned to everyone else who doesn't agree with him.
Yeah. It's hard not to pick Magneto, I've got to admit.
Can I tell you my favorite Magneto moment is in Joss Whedon's run of Astonishing X-Men. It ends with Kitty Pryde being so a massive bullet is being fired at a planet, I think Earth or just a planet, I'm not sure. And Kitty Pryde phases herself into the bullet and basically uses all her strength to phase this whole monstrous bullet so that it passes straight through this Earth or this planet, whatever, with no problems. But she expended so much energy that now she's basically trapped in this bullet, and she's trapped in a incorporeal, is that what you call it?
Yep.
Non-corporeal form. She's in constantly phased. And so, you know, about a year later of just her being trapped up there and stories go on, Magneto rocks up, and at this time we're around the Messiah complex sort of time, I think. It's definitely in a, well, even the Joss Whedon stuff is in a post No More Mutants world, but this is very much they've got that the X-Men are on an island. It's almost like a fortress, and Cyclops is on his way to being complete badass. And Magneto wants to join the X-Men, and he wants to he basically says to Cyclops that he'll happily, you know, play second fiddle to Cyclops. He's not there to take over. He's not there to be the new Charles. He just wants to be a soldier in Cyclops' army. Cyclops, of course, is unsure whether he can trust him or not. And then so Magneto decides he's going to do the ultimate exercise in showing the X-Men that he means business. And he sits on a hillside, on a grassy field overlooking a lake from memory. And he's just sitting there, and I can't remember the pose, but he's reaching into space, and basically he's summoning that bullet. He's reaching out with his magnetic powers throughout the entire galaxy, trying to find where
Kitty.
What's that? Shadowcat. Yeah, trying to find Kitty Pryde, and brings that bullet to Earth. And he has that Jean Grey moment of like, now I've got a headache. But he expended all this energy, brought the bullet down, and then it goes off in a really cool tale of basically trying to get Kitty Pryde to be unfazed and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, favorite Magneto moment.
Well, I am reading at the moment just when she phased through that bullet, and I'm now I now know what's going to happen. So thank you. I'm joking. Yeah. I have not read that part yet. Don't worry.
It's like you've got a year's worth of comics to get to that part. maybe in a couple of years. I'm not totally sure how long after. It's probably the next issue. I just can't remember.
I just wanted to see your face when I said that, and it worked.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for asking. My favorite X-Men is when I was growing up, it was always Archangel and Gambit, and that's because of the cartoon show. I was always fascinated by Archangel because he was Angel and he was so sweet and nice, and then he became this bad guy, Archangel, and I thought he just looked cool as hell, man. And Gambit was the X-Men I wanted to be. You know, hey, how are you? And all that sort of stuff.
Don't worry, Rogue. I'll park the car. That's a quote from the show.
But then when I read X-Men Avengers versus X-Men, boy, did that change, man. Cyclops all the way. And from Avengers versus X-Men, Cyclops was just freaking awesome, man. And I get exactly what Spedsy's saying. Looking back at those old cartoons, Jean Grey, Storm, Cyclops, they're really not represented well. They're really more as just side pieces. And I really, really hope that with because as it says as it shows in the trailer, Magneto's coming to take over the X-Men, and Cyclops isn't going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
I hope that brings out a side in Scott that just tells him to man up and stop worrying about Jean.
Yeah.
How much of the so with the new series, how much of the old do you think they're gonna bring into it? Are they just gonna continue with how it was, or are they expecting viewers who watched it then have matured now and the show's gonna grow with the new audience as well?
I think Marvel is smart enough, despite all their TV shows, to write the animated series in a way that will actually cater to both audiences. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think the smart play, and I think this is what they're doing and have been doing, is that it's our generation taking our kids to see it and spawning the new generation of us.
That's why he was good, Nick.
Yeah, no.
It's the same reason. It's the same reason why I love Namor, because in Hickman's Avengers, they're going to go blow up a planet to save, a reality, a universe to save their own universe, and they've all got the bomb there, and they're about to use it, and Black Panther's holding it, and he goes, I cannot do this. I cannot kill all these people, because that's how Black Panther talks in my mind. And Namor just grabs the thing and just goes, pussy, boom, and blows everyone up to smithereens, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can thank Hickman and Avengers vs. X-Men for giving Namor that characterization, because in Avengers vs. X-Men, he floods Wakanda.
Yeah.
Spurring their rivalry.
Yeah, man.
That's another good thing about... I'm just peeing in the pockets of Cyclops all night, but so a sign that Cyclops had gotten serious about things was Namor joining the X-Men and happily being subservient to Cyclops as the leader. Just like, and Emma Frost being his right-hand woman, and then later Magic joining as their everything just had that an edgy spin to it. And
I need to know, guys, which coupling do you prefer? Is it Cyclops and Jean or Cyclops and Emma?
I love Cyclops and Emma. I just love Emma.
How can you not love Emma? I mean,
no, I'm more of the lovey, so it's Jean.
Jean Grey was never an Emma unless she was Phoenix, I guess, a little bit. I mean, come on, man. It's like saying, do you like Supergirl or Power Girl?
So we're just talking purely boobs. Well,
yeah.
So Jean and Scott is the romance. That's the true love. But in terms of gripping storytelling, it's Emma and Scott, because Scott, for all that we've been talking about, how him being like, I'm not taking shit from nobody, it was almost like they were a power couple just because he was the front and the final say, but she was his shadow counsel. She was whispering in his ear the whole time, not necessarily manipulating him or anything, but definitely like she recognized he was going down this path, and she was just like, "That's hot. I'm going down that path with him." And
but it's the toxic relationships that make things more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not in real life.
Yeah.
Well, if you were in a toxic relationship, I'd love to hear about it. I don't want one for myself, but it would make your story very interesting.
All right. So now we're not going to be talking about X-Men anymore. From now on, this is going to be a getting to know Beau and his past. So once upon a time, I had a woman that... No, I'm just kidding. Nick's got another comment here with Imperious Rex.
You once had a woman.
Cyclops was such a bastard during that event, though. And then nobody has written him well since, even Hickman. That I will address later, Nick, actually.
I slightly disagree. Now, I'm a huge Bendis fan, which, is a... What do you like? What's the word for a polarizing writer? People love him or people hate him. I love him. And the beginnings, he kind of bailed before he got to finish it all up. But his Uncanny X-Men with Cyclops, with and Emma and Magic, freaking great.
Yeah. So
and juxtaposed with his the teen X-Men coming back in the other book, All New X-Men, that was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting that era because a lot of people didn't like it, but I did. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I loved it.
Ryan, what's your favorite era of X-Men in the comics, you think?
Oh, in the comics, Outback era.
Hey,
you can never go wrong with the era where everyone thought they were dead, and they're all just chilling in Australia. They're acting like a bit like what X-Force would eventually become, where they're kind of just picking off targets as they pop up and before they become a really big threat. But yeah, that Outback era around, it ends right after Inferno or so, and it picks up like right after Fall of the Mutants. Really memorable era for the team.
So what have you got any specific reasons as to why, like something that stands out to you during that era that made you love it so much?
The team lineup is pretty good. Like, it's got Cyclops. When it doesn't have Cyclops at that point, he's an X-Factor. It's got Colossus, Storm leading the team. Fully, I think she was repowered by that point. After many years of not having her powers. None of the mutants can be detected as well during that time because of some shenanigans with, I think it was... Well, it might have been the Siege Perilous or something. But yeah, they can't like show up on video. They can't be detected on any video systems. And just, I love the feel of that team.
And what about you, Sharif? What's your favorite era of X-Men?
I don't think I have one because my experience in reading X-Men is very limited. I think the earliest I would say I've read was even Onslaught isn't just the X-Men, but then it dropped off my radar, and then only recently when Hoxpox with Hickman, then I started picking up again. But in saying that, I've got the trades and the OHs on my shelf. I've only read like about a third into Dawn and nothing else after that. So yeah. No. Even what's the period when the original team as a teenager they traveled into the present time?
That's Bendis.
Is that all new? Yeah.
Yeah, all new.
I've read only like about the first half of it of the series.
Gary.
I've gotten the trades, so I don't know. I've got a whole load of reading to do this year, so I'm hoping to catch up.
Funny thing about that Hickman era as well, there is no X-Men team in the X-Men book. until like you get to the very end of the run.
Okay. Well, I'd go as far as to say that Spedsy here is probably the more of the expert on X-Men because he's got
expert
because he has a very big for X-Men. So Spedsy, what is I was implying something that I don't know if that came across. Spedsy, what is your favorite era of X-Men?
I hope it doesn't come across the screen. Well, so firstly, I have to say, yes, I am not an expert, which is dirty as well when I say it slowly. Expert. For instance, so when I was a kid, it was sporadic reading of the old stuff. Then the Jim Lee stuff I was all about. And then I disappeared for a little while. Then I came back and I read X-Men pretty full on from then. And I kind of went back as far as I could in trades to pick up bits and pieces. So there's plenty of gaps in my X-Men reading. But my favorite, we've talked about this, obviously, is the Journey of Cyclops. But I was trying to remember what the story was where there's a red dome goes over a city and there's all kinds of fighting within this red dome. And I believe it's all within, if you like, Avengers versus X-Men. Now that's about Hope Summers being potentially being the new Phoenix, so the Avengers want to get her and all that sort of stuff. Well, so she was the first mutant born after No More Mutants. And so all different groups, like the Mutant Liberation Front, obviously the X-Men, those dudes that had the white masks with the slits for eyes. I can't remember what they're called.
The Purifiers?
Those are the guys. All these different groups trying to get Hope, baby Hope. And the one who wins out, and Bishop was trying to kill her, if from memory. And so to save her, basically Cable takes her and disappears into the future. Then so culminates in one of my favorite X-Men stories, I believe, is the one with the red dome, but it's called X-Men Second Coming, and that's when Cable and Hope come back, and Hope is now a teenager. And it's basically the whole thing again, except Cable's got an issue with that phalanx Shiza taking him over. And so everything I've trained you for, it's time, Hope, that, and she has to use all the skills that Cable has given her, and the X-Men have to save her. ... Can't remember how it gets to it, but there's a big red dome over this city. Half the X-Men are trapped in it. I think all the X-Men might be trapped in it. The Avengers are outside trying to pierce through this dome, but it's impenetrable. It's a whole thing. Will they survive? They obviously do, because they've done 500 issues since, but it was freaking great. That's my era, right through to Avengers X-Men. So Deadly Genesis, that's your starting point. Pick that up, read right through. Decimation is sick. Decimation is basically the X-Men fallout of House of M. Get as many of those Decimation books as you can. Mostly they're out of print.
It's coming out in
Omnibus.
Yeah.
Tell me what? Because I've only got the first trade, and I think there's like 4 of them, and it's
dude,
great.
I just sold all my copies, man, because that Omnibus release. I had the whole thing.
Someone's a bit keen. They haven't even solicited that thing yet.
Oh, it doesn't matter, mate. As soon as I hear Omar, like, I'm trying to get rid of my trades, bro. And it's all because this guy right here poisoned my mind one day and said trades are crap, get hardcovers. And I went, I'm not going to listen to you. And then I did.
Yeah, well, I'm in the other camp. I cannot stand the pressure of wanting to keep the sleeves, the dust jackets, in good condition. It's just too hard. Because I like my stuff being schmick. Look, my freaking trades are in plastic bags, you guys. So I like my stuff being nice, but the pressure, the few books that I have that have dust jackets, and all they're designed to do is keep the dust off the actual book, but still I want them to be in perfect condition,
Yeah,
that's
fair
hard
enough.
to do. It's essentially, it's just paper, you guys. It's hard.
Rob, can I circle back to you mentioning about Cable bringing baby Hope to the future and then coming back as a teenager? Do you think Marvel aging her up works?
Well, I mean, I was fascinated. I can't remember which came first. Because Angel, the TV show, did the same thing with Connor disappearing into the future as a baby and then coming back as a teenager. But I understand there's only so many things you can do with a baby character, and where you, like, you ever seen all those like sitcoms and stuff where the characters have a baby and then the baby's just like
The next
not
season is
it's just like the baby's being babysat like all the time. Well, I found her story to be fascinating. And the whole Hope Summers then coming back and she met Rachel Summers, and just them two being the Summers girls from various dimensions and whatever. It's just, I'm all for it. I'm a sucker for grumpy old dudes and young warrior women. In any genre, bring it on. I love that shit.
Get your face around it. You're saying, mate. So, as you can see, I've got. Actually, if you include Wolverine, it starts from over there. But all of this shelf is X-Men, and I'm sorry
that
to
must
say,
have taken you ages to read it all.
Yeah. So the plan was, right, when let me start again. The only ones that I've read, if I may, by chucking me up here, is the only ones I've read is Age of Apocalypse, because I remember reading that when it first came out and I never finished it. So when I got the omnibuses, I read it. And Onslaught, because I loved my Marvel events, and that was an event, right? Actually, should House of M go with these guys? I've got it in H. Anyway, my plan was, right, that when I got X-Men Volume 1 and 2 to read those, then I got Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 and 2. Then I got Astonishing X-Men. And then I got New X-Men. And I'm putting them all in chronological order. And I'm going, you know what, man? I'm going to wait until I have, like, issue 1 to, like, 500 or so and just read nothing but X-Men. But the way they release them, there's too many gaps, right? And I've got like a hardcover of like Necretia and a hardcover of something else down there, and it's like, no, I'm waiting for more omnibuses, and then I'm going to read them all. So I've got a lot of X-Men to read. The only X-Men I've read, apart from the ones I just mentioned, is pretty much from House of M onwards, especially when Bendis took over, because that was a great jumping on point. And I read the crap out of that, man, and I loved it. And when Hickman came out, man, did I want to keep up to date with X-Men. But it was just so confusing, and there was so many titles, man. So many titles. I really liked Marauders. I liked the one that no one seemed to like with Psylocke, Fallen Angels.
Yeah.
I liked that one.
The Excalibur one, yeah.
Yeah. Marauders is the one with Kitty Pryde on the boat, yeah?
Yeah.
So there was a few that I really liked, but there was just title after title after title after title, and it's still coming out that way, man, that I'm just like, nah, I'm just going to wait till omnibuses come out one day and just read all the Hickman stuff, because you need to read it in chunks, not monthly, you know? And now there's like this Reign of X and Dawn of X and something of X and X of X and P of X and D of X, and I don't know where to go, man. I'm just lost.
Well, good news for you. It's all finishing in like 2 months.
Yeah.
They're cancelling all the books again.
Yeah.
That's always been a thing.
I hate to be one of those guys that back in my day, but back in my day, there was 2 X-Men books. There was the Uncanny X-Men and there was X-Men, and X-Men was the blue team. Uncanny X-Men was the gold team. And you could quite easily afford, even on $10 pocket money a week, I could follow the X-Men. If you then wanted to go crazy, pick up X-Force, pick up Wolverine, maybe you could pick up Excalibur, but that's it. That was the X-Men line, and you could read everything and you could stay up to date. And X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue, they both crossed over. Like, well, not crossover as in part 1 here, part 2 there, but like there would be a problem, and so Iceman, who was on the blue team, he would help out the gold team, and vice versa, because they all worked out of the same mansion.
So you know how they had X-Men Blue and Gold and Red recently, like in the last few years, right? Yeah. Was there an old series called X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue? How did that work?
No, to my knowledge, and I could easily be proven wrong, is it X-Men started as X-Men, it then got renamed as Uncanny X-Men, and then it maintained its run as Uncanny X-Men, and they relaunched a new X-Men. So in 1991, there was X-Men #1, and there was Uncanny X-Men 298 or something. And in Uncanny X-Men, they were in the book called X-Men Gold Team, and in the other book, the Jim Lee book, it was the X-Men Blue Team. So Cyclops Professor X would literally say, "I'm sending the Blue Team. I'm sending the Gold Team."
To keep up with the. Sorry.
No, go, please.
I was going to say, to keep up with the books now, man, is like collecting Spider-Man when I was 15. You know, Spectacular Spider-Man, Webber Spider-Man, Adjectiveless Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, then all the one-shots and the mini. It's just, you can't keep up, man.
Yeah. It's really hard work. There's just, like, am I a Marvel guy or a DC guy? I want to be I want to be a comics guy, but there's just only so much money you can spend. So for a while there, I was a Marvel guy and a Gotham guy. Hello, Bastet. Sorry, I should not have tried.
Okay, so we'll go back to the comics in a little bit. Let's move on, right? Because we were, every time we do a show like this, we want to stick to one topic, to the next topic, to the next topic. It never works out. We end up going all over the shop. So I'm going to go back to animation just for a little bit, right? Just for one moment, if you'd indulge me. And that is, we all...
I thought we were going to talk WrestleMania. Oh, okay, sorry.
We all know X-Men, the animated series, right? We loved it. We're waiting for X-Men 97. Did you guys watch X-Men Evolution after that?
No.
I think I've only seen a bit of it.
This only went for about 3 or 4 seasons or so, Sharif.
I think I want to watch the first 2.
It's actually really good.
Season?
The whole thing. X-Men Evolution. I highly recommend. I'm guessing maybe on Disney. That I'm assuming it's all there. But go watch this because it was really good. Next up, we have the manga X-Men.
Oi. I think I've only ever seen the intro to it.
Yeah, okay. So
it slaps.
So at one point, Marvel released them all at the same time. They did some manga series. There was X-Men, there was Wolverine, Iron Man, Blade, and I think that may have been it. I feel like there's only 4. Maybe there's 5. If I'm wrong, anybody let me know. Nick, I'm assuming you're talking about this. Moving on from that, we then had
Wolverine
which came in this handy little. You got that too?
I got 2 of them. My brother was throwing his out, so I was like, I'll have it.
Wolverine and the X-Men. Oh, that show rocked my socks. Are you talking about Evolution or the manga? I'm guessing you're talking about Evolution, actually. This was a good show too, actually. I've got to admit. This was really enjoyable. It's where Wolverine was in charge of the X-Men, and that's really, really cool.
Which I think was an unofficial spin-off of the X-Men 97 cartoon. Because,
I agree.
Cyclops is all sad in a trench coat. That's, did my boy wrong in that one as well. Like, he spends the whole time just, I guess you can run the team, Wolverine. There is a sick scene, though, where they're flying the X-Jet and they've got to get someone out of another plane and they're trying to come up with ways to shoot it down or whatever. And then Kitty Pryde just, like, phases out of that plane and into the other plane. No, wait. No, I think she phases her and Nightcrawler out into the air. And then he teleports them into the other one. It's a whole thing. It's really cool.
Well, Nick agrees and says that he loved Evolution. So there's 2 people saying it.
Wouldn't be here without it.
Last but not least, not everybody's into these, and that's totally cool if you're not. But Marvel were pumping out for a little while the motion comic DVDs. And I've got like a collection like this big, and they did quite a lot of them, right? First up is Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. They made 3 or 4 of these, I think maybe 3. I'd have to go to my shelf. I only brought 1. And this is basically that omnibus told in a comic. If you're not sure what a motion comic is, it is a DVD you put in, and it's basically like you see on YouTube now.
That's what it is. That's a motion comic.
And if you're a complete nerd like me, you kind of get a little bit of a kick out of watching the motion comic while actually having the book in your lap and turning the pages and hearing the voices and all that. Because it's like somebody's reading you the book for you. And I think that's cool. But as I'm saying it out loud, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Even then, it's like they do a cutout of the character and it moves in the panel itself. So I like that.
Yeah.
Comic,
And then they did a Wolverine as well. Weapon X tomorrow dies today. And some of these are pretty cool, man. Even DC did some. They've got Batman Black and White. Even Buffy did one. The first hardcover by Joss Whedon. They've done a motion comic of that. I can't remember what else there is, but there's quite a lot. And then they just stopped making them. So that's all I've got for the animation. Should we hop over to movies now?
I tell you what, though, since Whedon's been cancelled, my garden is overrun. That's a thinker, that one.
Nick, I'd have to check because it could be a mix. It's kind of like those old read-along stories. Turn the page where you hear.
Yeah. I still have one of those, actually.
Ryan, what is your favorite X-Men movie?
Days of Future Past.
Bang! Me too. Me too.
That's a good one.
I like the porn version. Days of Poocher Farts.
How do you have a sense of humor like that when I do this and you look grossed out?
Because that's the gig. That
doesn't make sense, man.
It's
Sorry,
the
Ryan. I
mix
pooped on you.
Fan service and story.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I love Days of Future Past, because I remember watching that, and it was like after all the other X-Men movies prior, even though they were all cool and I did love them, Days of Future Past was the first one that had like some pretty cool moments that you see in comics, like Iceman finally doing all that sort of jazz and, some pretty cool things. Sharif, what's your favorite X-Men movie?
X2.
X2, okay, good choice. First appearance of Beast, Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I think it was a much better made movie than the first one. The first one was just like testing the water, whether people are accepting of X-Men, and then and then it got big, and then Fox just said, let's do a real big proper X-Men movie, and it showed.
Yeah, that Nightcrawler intro was amazing. I always loved that. But how bad? I recently saw Beast, Frasier. Beast, right? I recently saw how he looks now. How bad does that Beast look today compared to the CGI version you got at the end of Marvel's?
Did he look that? Well, I haven't seen it in a long time.
He looked great when you were watching it. But
Yeah.
now that you've seen what they can do now, it's just a guy with just paint and a wig. Yeah. Spedsy, your favorite X-Men movie?
Mine is also Days of Future Past, especially the scene with Iceman and John Stamos doing the Kokomo dance with the Beach Boys. But I loved X-Men 1 when it came out. I am so old that I saw it in the movies as a grown man and was just like, I can't believe we are seeing these things that we've been reading for so long, like actual people doing them. This was before I knew that Rogue got her powers from Ms. Marvel, because I was just like, why is she just a whiny teenager that can't touch anything? And then when she's on top of the Statue of Liberty and Magneto's doing the thing and her hair goes blonde in that bit, and she gets pushed off. I was like, oh, she's gonna fly, and she didn't. And then, when I lamented that to someone at a comic shop, they were just like, "That's because she gets her part," and I was like, "Oh, okay." But then X2 was just like, holy manolies, just blew X1 out of the water. X3, not as bad. Like I went back and watched it maybe 10 years ago, and it was nowhere near as bad as I remember. Though I can't stand the ending fight where it's basically Storm and Wolverine with a bunch of kids. It just feels weird. Colossus always felt weird as not being Colossus, like should have been huge, and it just felt like Wolverine and the X kids. And then I wasn't a First Class guy. I didn't really like that movie. What was the second one? The Apocalypse one. I thought that was absolute dog shizer. And then the Phoenix one, I didn't even go see that one. Days of Future Past was like tied those things together. Nostalgia hit with the old characters coming back. I had a crush on Famke Janssen, like you read about. So to see her back in there was just like good. But
the bone claws, man.
So who the what? What?
The bone claws.
Yes, Famke definitely gave me some bone.
I remember at the end of what was the one before Apocalypse? Was it Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that end credit scene where it had the 4 horsemen in the shadows, right? And everybody lost their minds because it's like, oh my God, Apocalypse is the next movie. And I was so freaking pumped for the Apocalypse movie because how could you make so many X-Men films without showing Apocalypse yet? Same with Mr. Sinister and classic other people, right? And man, how much of a letdown was that movie?
It was. He just looked so strange.
It was
that was my main takeaway. He just looked crap. He looked like a dope. And don't talk to me about Mr. Sinister. I can't stand Mr. Sinister. I've never enjoyed him. Anytime he's in a book, I want to burn said book.
Well, you're not going to like X-Men 97 then.
Is he like the main villain?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Fun fact, did you know the Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum that almost got made, Mr. Sinister, he was the bad guy.
I was reading the comment. What did you just say?
This is one of the worst characters. He was shit. Wow. Slap in the face from Steve. Take that.
No, he's got a point.
He's got several when his wings come out and they
Ryan?
The Gambit movie with Channing Tatum that was almost made, Mr. Sinister was the bad guy, and he was Gambit's dad.
That's right. That's because as well they led to that in one of the movies. I can't remember, but they had a bit of a Easter egg hinting at Mr. Sinister. He grabbed a briefcase with like mutant genes.
With the blood?
Yeah, and that was meant to be Mr. Sinister.
That's right. Yeah.
Back to your comments, Steve. Oh man, I think we're going to go to bad casting choices now for the X-Men movies, and I don't think it was bad casting, but dude, how much of a letdown? How can you have one of the original X-Men have such a small part in initially in whatever first one he was in? Then they bring him back and they do my boy like that again. Like, oh man, poor Angel. So, Sharif, who can you pick? I'll give you 2, okay? If you have them, that is. You might think all the casting was great. Do you have 2 actors that you think were bad casting, really bad?
Patrick Stewart? No.
In any of the X-Men?
Bad casting. I don't know if it's more of bad casting or just the character just doesn't understand the character enough. So I don't think I've any. No.
All right, Ryan.
I'm looking it up now, but it's Will.i.am's character from X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good one actually. Who was he again? He teleported?
Yeah, he teleported. John Wraith. That's who he was.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
Actually,
just remember how bad that
movie had
was in that scene.
Maverick in it, didn't it? Maverick's
Yeah, it did.
underrated for a reason.
All right, Spedsy, your bad casting choices.
You ready?
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Are you being legit?
Kind of. Not really. So
Explain.
he's awesome, right? I have this weird thing. Maybe it's the graphic designer in me or something, or it's just the kid who read comics forever. But a team has a shape. This sounds really strange. But so the X-Men sort of like there's lines there, right? Like Colossus, you come down to Wolverine, Cyclops. By casting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, now disclaimer, he's freaking awesome as Wolverine. He's perfect as Wolverine.
I get where you're going with this.
But he's so statuesque. He's such a man. He's got a Captain America like sized person. He has a Cyclops sized person. Yeah. He has a Superman body, a Batman body. By him being Wolverine, it throws my whole aesthetic off of how I like my shapes. So it immediately made Cyclops, my boy, look like a boy. And Famke being delightfully good looking and attractive and taller than Cyclops, she just fitted way more with Wolverine. It just threw my whole thing out. And then when you introduce Angel in X3, he's like a tiny little boy. The Iceman and Pyro, they're little kids, all compared to Wolverine. Could I swap out Hugh Jackman for someone else to fix my shapes? I don't know. But this is just a weird, like, stir the internet with an unpopular opinion that I kind of, my next Wolverine, they've been rumoring Daniel Radcliffe, and then I go, he's the right size. I want Tom Hardy as Wolverine. He's got and I don't care that he was Venom. I don't count the Sony movies. Venom was fine, but who cares?
I always loved Tom Hardy until Venom.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, Tom Hardy as Wolverine would be the shit. He's got the grizzled look. He's got the size, got the shapes, and then let's put the Colossus behind him from Deadpool. Let's get a Hugh Jackman-sized Cyclops. Let's go.
These
two
comments,
right, guys.
These two comments I didn't put up because they were my picks. And the first one is, yes, that's exactly right, Dan. I actually didn't mind her because I liked her from True Blood, right? So I actually didn't mind her. But as Rogue, come on, man. At least, when you're an actor, because I make it sound like I know this for a fact, but when you're an actor, shouldn't you be acting different accents? Now, granted, maybe they told her not to do it and just be yourself, which is probably more than likely what happened. But how can you have Rogue without that Southern Belle accent? Come on, man. I mean, Ryan said that Rogue was his favorite X-Men cartoon character. If I was blind, Rogue would have been my favorite too, because that voice was just fantastic, and I want that in my movie. The next one is Nick saying something that was completely shocking, because this was my next pick, and Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut was my next one. That was stupid. That was just dumb. You needed a big, massive guy, man. And every line that came out of Vinnie Jones's mouth in that movie was dumb. I'm the Juggernaut, no, like, go away.
Well, that wasn't in the original script. The I'm the Juggernaut bitch. That was a meme that someone had taken old X-Men cartoons and they were overdubbing them. The one that went viral at the time was Professor X is lying on the ground. The Juggernaut comes flying in, and then this black dude voices Juggernaut and is like, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. and that went viral.
Are you saying that's not in the movie?
No, it's in the movie, but it wasn't. It was a reshoot to put that. It's like there are no get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane. That wasn't in the movie either until the internet made it a meme, and then they were like, "Quick, let's put it in."
I'm the juggernaut, Bo. No, you're not. No, you're
pretty sure I just called you a bitch.
No, he's Mr. Might. If you can't tell by his little. Also, the guy that played Pyro was the one of the. Well, guess what? Pyro, if you haven't noticed, is in Deadpool 3.
Yeah, same actor. Steve.
Yeah, mate. Okay, so we'll try to make this really quick because we're running out of time. But if you can have the X-Men movie come back, what is your X-Men team that you would have? Sharif. Next Marvel movie, X-Men, who's your team? You get to pick 5.
I'm writing mine down.
Oh, putting me on the spot.
Ryan, go.
Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler.
Good team. Good team. Okay. I would pick Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel. Oh, wait, I just realised I'm naming all the original X-Men. Yeah, well, that's what I'd have, man. And I could give or take Beast. Who's my last one? Throw someone else in there, nah, I've gone blank. That'll do. Spedsy.
Mate, I've written them down. I'm ready to go. So, in the leadership role, Cyclops. Now, this Cyclops is the Cyclops that we've been ranting about for the last 56 minutes and 43 seconds. His right-hand woman is Emma Frost. The young lady who doesn't like the direction the Cyclops is taking the team and feels like Emma is manipulating him. And she's like, we need to be more straight-arrowed X-Men, and that is Kitty Pryde. Has Kitty Pryde's back. He's always at Cyclops' throat, but he's Cyclops' weapon. Cyclops points. This guy takes out the problem. No questions, some questions asked. And that's Wolverine. Now every X-Men team needs a teleportation character. How do they get from here to there? Well, you could have the X-Jet, but where can you land it if it's a city-based problem? So we have Magic. Ileana Rasputin takes the X-Men into Limbo and then out from Limbo into wherever she wants. Now I'm probably getting a bit greedy with my 8-person X-Men team. And next we have Armor. Now that's the young lady who can make a big armor suit out of herself. Now I don't know where. Look, she's probably the one that's going to get cut only because she would kind of fill. Kitty Pryde's probably already filling her role. Maybe she could be Wolverine's always wanted to be taking. First, he took Kitty under his wing. Then he took Jubilee under his wing. Armor could be the one that he takes under his wing next. Colossus could take him or leave him, but I love some muscle on a team. And then, Magic is in with Cyclops. Colossus is perhaps a little bit like, come on, Cyclops is leading you down a path that you shouldn't go down. And she's like, bitch, I'm from hell. And then, because who else is going to park the car for Rogue? And that's my boy Gambit, the Raging Cajun. I don't know where he fits in. Actually, he starts off as the villain and joins the team by the end of the movie. Bang.
Yes. And now it's that time of the show for the Aussieverse Thought of the Week.
And now it's time for the Aussieverse Thought of the Week.
Queues. Remember the queues were a thing? We don't queue up as much as we used to. And I think we've gotten soft as a generation. I think our calf muscles are weakening. Our thigh muscles not as strong as they once were. We're tenderizing in a way. Queues. We used to queue for a lot of things. Now we do a lot of those things fast and on the internet and whatnot. So, when in doubt, queue it out.
Just make fast food healthier.
Can McDonald's bring back the waffle cone, please?
There are things in life that you want to do, but you know that you can't because, you ruin your life, like get a tattoo on your face. One of the things that I want to do is Sharif got me these, and I've got to be honest with you, I actually want to, like, glue them to my hand. I just do. I want to walk around forever with these because I really feel cool with these in my hand all the time.
Sharif, I don't want to think. Well, maybe we shouldn't say this live on air, just in case. But Proactive, the like the butter that has that anti-cholesterol stuff in it. Why can't they put that in like chips and whatever? Like, so cook the chips with the thing, so the cholesterol of the chips is cancelled out by the anti-cholesterol thing. We would have queues around the block. Like the old days.
There you go.
Now, we are proudly sponsored by ComX. That is a website and a virtual shop that you can go to and buy a whole bunch of comics. What kind of comics? Well, let me tell you something, brother. It is all Aussie comics. You don't know what Aussie comics are, then are you missing out? There is not only Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, Aftershock, and probably a couple of others out there. There is Aussie comics. And if you're like me and you were never into Aussie comics because, that sounds lame, it's not. I actually bought some about a year ago, read them. I'm going to be honest with you, I was kind of obligated to, but I got them, and man, I was blown away by how great not only the storylines are, but the art as well. Plenty of one-shots, series that go there too. You have got to at least do yourselves a favor if you're a comic book collector and stop having that brick wall or that roof or whatever it is that traps you into not buying Aussie comics, because you are seriously missing out. And at ComX, not only can you buy them there, but no matter how many comics you buy, they send it all to you with one flat shipping rate. That's right. You can buy one, you can buy two, you can buy 100. I don't know if they could fit 100 in, but it's one flat shipping rate. And not only can you buy comics from there, but you can also look up where all the comic book shops are in Australia. You can also look up a hub of who all the comic book creators are in Australia. So you want to know anything about Australian comics, go to ComX, and we love them because, they sponsor us. So I'm just going to show you this quick thing, and then we're going to end the show not straight after this video. Don't go anywhere. I'm not saying this is the end of the show. I'm saying I'm going to show you this comics promo, and then we're coming back, and we're going to talk about some more X-Men, and then we're going to be at the end of the show. And Spedsy looks like he just smelled a fart, so we're going to go with that right now.
This show is sponsored by the Comics Shop. Check out comics.cx for all things comics and find out what comics is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.
I hope you're still enjoying the show. Wow, that's sterling recommend there, guys. Did you hear? Aussie comics. I bought some a year ago.
So for the first time, I meant
Australian comics. I got one 25 years ago. I found it in a puddle.
You know what? I'm throwing out Sluggish.
Well,
I'm done with it.
It wasn't out a year ago, so you couldn't own it. It was out a year ago, but then my joke wouldn't have worked. Some say it wasn't even a joke. Well, why are we all laughing?
Because you're making me feel bad about my promo, bro. So now we're going to go to the comics, back to the comics. Spedsy, do you have a favorite X-Men crossover?
Oh, yes, I do. Brilliant question. And I can't even remember what the story is, except they're in a sewer. But the covers are beautiful. I was a monstrous fan of this man with a blazing skull. He is Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, Danny Crane. I was trying to think what that show was. But the X-Men, Ghost Rider, it literally crosses over from one book to another, old school, 4 issues, I think. And man, just the covers alone, I think Jim Lee and maybe Andy Kubert, I can't remember, but the covers are so freaking good. Worth it. It's just pure nostalgia for me.
Would you call that a crossover though? Because that's the same company.
That's literally what a crossover is, my friend.
No,
It's an X-Men title, and they crossed it over with Ghost Rider.
No.
What are you talking about?
A
That's
crossover is where like it's
crossover.
Batman and Daredevil, Hulk and Superman.
That's like an amalgam. That's like, but a comic book crossover is something that exists.
No, an amalgam is when they amalgamated the characters and put them together. A crossover
Someone
is
in
when
the comments, hit us up in the comments right now, because we ain't going off the air until we've solved this.
Intercompany crossovers, where you have like the Avengers books crossover with the X-Men books.
Well, I didn't say intercompany crossover, did I? And I just hurt my neck.
If you look, and I'm pretty sure those exact issues of Ghost Rider and the X-Men, in the corner, it says Prelude to Infinity War crossover.
Oh, now you're
I'm
just
pretty sure it's those exact
No,
issues. And if I didn't have on my pajama pants / boxes, I'd go over there and get them out of the cupboard. But then everyone would see what I look like when I sleep. But
I was talking about stuff like this. Star Trek and X-Men. If you have not read this because you don't like Star Trek, then fair enough.
That's called something else. I can't remember what it's called, but it's something else.
It's called a crossover!
All right, so it is a crossover probably. But it's just one comic crossing over with another. They can be in the same company. That's where the crossover originated. What do you think the first crossover was?
X-Men crossover.
Oh, what?
Within Marvel. Shoot.
No,
right.
no, we just established that Spedsy's wrong.
No, I'm gonna subdivide it within Marvel, and then outside Marvel. X-Men. I guess. Okay, so out of Marvel, probably with that old one, Teen Titans.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was hoping someone would pick that. Right now, Spedsy's Googling what is a crossover.
I was looking, what was the first comic crossover? Secret Wars was the first modern Marvel event. Something.
That's not a crossover. That's an event.
Literally, look, you can't deny that book from Image is a crossover. And that's self-contained. So
I'm pretty sure the first crossover was Superman and Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure I'm right there. Ryan.
No. No. What they would do, I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm steamrolling this shit. What they would do is when they're launching a new title, Night Thrasher, and issue 1 sells well, issue 2, the huge drop-off, issue 3, they cross it over with Spider-Man to try and boost the sales of Night Thrasher to keep it alive. That's a crossover. Ryan, back to you in the studio. Apologies.
Transformers, New Avengers, and Wolverine is on the team.
Oh, that's a bit dodgy answer, but I'll accept it. Okay.
Wolverine is on the team. So.
Yeah. That really annoys me, that series, because that's 4 issues that I can never sell because you can never get it in a freaking collection. It's annoying.
Why can't you?
Because they never reprinted them because of the license issues.
Oh, between Transformers and...
sorry, it was Avengers Transformers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My favourite cover out of that series. There's only 4 issues, I think, maybe 5. You've got Megatron, and it's like a big face here, and he's got a finger, and Spider-Man's just sitting on his finger.
Now, I know we're running overtime, but there hasn't been any comments put up for a while, and I fear that's because 27 of them are on my side, and you don't want to show them.
No. Nick, are you still there? Come on, man. Tell me I'm right. Crossover is 2 different companies crossing over.
There's also this thing called a crossover event where the books within a company will cross over. Like with Inferno or Mutant Massacre or Extinction Agenda.
Oh,
Part 1 is in Avengers, Part 2 is in X Factor, Part 3 is in Uncanny X-Men. It's a crossover.
No.
They even call them line wide crossover. Oh, they probably call them line wide. But I swear, I wish I had pants on.
Dan.
Yeah, there's a man I've known for 30-something years and brought comics into my life.
Oh, so that's a biased opinion then.
Maybe, yes. I need someone I don't know. Where's Lee Chalker?
Hang on, Steve. I'm not saying they can't cross over, but in comic book terms, a crossover is Image and Dark Horse or DC and Marvel, or that's a crossover. Is anybody going to agree with me? Come on. You've never met Spedsy, but he's met you.
Mm-hmm. Our lives crossed over at one point, even though we're owned by the same parents.
All right. Have we got anything else that we want to talk about with X-Men before we go?
Okay, last thing. If we four were the X-Men, who are we? And we have to name each other. We'll do it. I'll name who Beau is. Beau, you do Sharif. Sharif, you do Ryan. Ryan, you do me.
Sorry, my internet got cut out. What was that?
This is Repeat that, Spedsy.
Sharif, I was saying, if the four of us, if we were a member of the X-Men, who would we be? And I was saying that we should name each other rather than ourselves. So I name who OmniBeau is. He says who you are, Sharif. Sharif, you say who Ryan is. Ryan says who I am. Now, I'm going on looks only because Beau should be Cyclops because he's the leader of this team. But I'm going to go for looks, and he is a cross between Gambit and Wolverine. So I'm going to call him Gamberine.
Gamberine?
He can throw heated up claws.
Which is in the trailer of X-Men 97.
See? Comes full circle.
Have you seen that?
No.
Well, there was a point that I wanted to say earlier, but I just didn't. One of the things that had me excited about this trailer is the fact that obviously you've now got a lot of different people. You have different people writing these episodes than back in 97. And they know that we want to see cool stuff on screen. One of them being how they can mix their powers. And Wolverine hops on Gambit's back and powers his claws.
Mm. Okay. Now, of course, a trailer is something you attach to the back of your car to carry stuff around, and I won't hear any different about what it is. Thank you.
Alrighty, so I'm naming Sharif.
Yes.
Okay, well, the first one that comes to my mind, and I don't know if this is allowed to be said or politically correct, but I'm sorry, Sharif, it's the first one that came to my head, Sunfire.
Ooh.
It was either that or Lady Deathstrike.
Oh, it's all right, because I'm hot. I'll name Ryan's the brains of it, Hank McCoy.
Ooh.
Okay, good.
Spedsy, you've got away with words. You ganned it.
Nice. I'm half Beau.
I think calling me Gambit and Wolverine is an absolutely massive compliment. I will forgive you for being so wrong about everything else.
Well, let the comments choose the victor, and we'll be back next week to share the spoils of war together.
That's right. As Spedsy just said, we will be back very, very soon. Thank you so much for spending your time with us, because we know how hard that is to do when there is so much life out there and other TV shows and other YouTube channels and other books you could be reading, like a crossover or anything like that. So thank you very much for spending it with Aussieverse. Really appreciate it. The only thing that you could do more that we would appreciate is subscribing to the channel. Please do that. Subscribe and we will put out more content. Maybe not if like one of you subscribe, but if a lot does, then we'll be like we're on the right track and we're doing good stuff, and that'll make us do more things. So anyway, we're now gonna go away. Thank you very much. We have one last comment in the chat to highlight here. Ryan as Hank McCoy for the win. Thank you very much. And we are now going to say one last thing. Ryan, what is Aussieverse?
For life?
Sound it with more confidence.
For life?
That's right. Aussieverse is for life. We'll catch you next time, boys, girls, and whoever else you are.